back to the Varkha Chalani channel. I trust all of you are being much more careful today. With new restrictions and lockdown measures, I hope all of you are masking up and doing what is necessary to keep yourselves safe and healthy. In my last episode, I spoke about the woke culture, and there was someone who was unfortunately a bit miffed with what I said. He wrote in and said that Varkha, you're overgeneralizing. It is not that all of us millennials who are woke are necessarily avoiding discomfort. You are ignoring facets like genetics, the environment, and psychological factors. I smiled as I read his comments, and it is important for me when I receive feedback to clarify. Let's start with genetics. What is genetics? Genetics is nothing but a disposition. I have a disposition to fair skin, to certain texture of hair, to body type, to body shape, etc., etc. But we also have dispositions to temperament. I have a susceptibility to irritability. But dispositions and susceptibilities does not mean certainties. So if you and I have certain dispositions to emotional aspects of depression, anxiety, etc., more often than not, they may not necessarily rear their heads and can figuratively die with us. Then he mentioned me ignoring environment. But I must add, environment are contributors to emotional distress and not causations. Let me give you an example. A child, when he grows up, sees his father treat his mother very poorly and vows to himself that he would never treat his wife likewise. When he marries, he treats his wife with consideration and compassion, quite the opposite of what his father did to his mother. How come? Because the environment did not cause his actions, they contributed. And this is where psychological factors, which was the third point of the feedback that I received, comes in. What are these psychological factors that this woke individual wrote about? To me, as a professional therapist, these psychological factors are nothing but learned attitudes. Their worldviews, their outlooks to life, they are the way we think about certain things. And using the example of the boy who, when he noticed his father treating his mother very poorly, decided that means he vowed and learned an attitude quite contrarian to what his father was doing to his mother. His idea was, I will never put my wife through the trouble my mother has gone through living with this kind of a man. That means the woke generation needs to understand that genes can often be latent and die with us. We may have susceptibility, but they need not come to the fore. Why? Because with correct attitudinal training, that life is tough. Get used to it. No one promised us a rose garden. Life can sometimes be full of thorns. Yes, doing things is difficult, but not doing it is more difficult. And it is these psychological factors which are learned, and the unfortunate generation, the millennials, are not learning that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't eat cake and be fit. You can't not work and then expect to succeed. These are the psychological factors, attitudes, philosophies, or worldviews that the woke individual needs to recognize. Because at the end of the day, I know that it is tough-minded therapy for tender-minded people. But it is important for us to realize now that the tenderness won't take us too far. Stay safe, stay well, stay healthy. Until next week, it's goodbye from the Varkha Chalani channel. Please feel free to write to me at varkha@varkhachalani.com. Stay safe.